hood on, have my headphones on. I'm listening to my music, just vibing out, chilling, looking for the train. So I'm over here on the platform, like on the left side of the platform, looking for the train. You know, everybody do. We go like that. We look. I don't really get too far past that yellow line. I don't trust people trying to push you or do some crazy nonsense or whatever. I don't like to get too close. But I'm behind you. I'm just going like that. Like, all right, the train's not coming. So what I do is I see this lady coming towards me. Now, I ain't think much of it. I mean, you know, you're on the train platform. There's a lot of people there. She's coming and she stands like right next to me, right beside me. So I'm waiting. I'm like, yo, what's going on with this train? I'm taking my phone. I'm checking the time. I'm like, yo, I cannot be late right now. So I said, let me do this. They have another, I think the train I might have been waiting on, I don't remember if it was an express, but they also have like, usually have like an express, a local or something like that. Sometimes they run on the same track. Sometimes you have trains that run on opposite, you know, on another track. What's up, everybody out there? In case you don't know, it's your boy LB, and I'm back here with another episode of LB Tales from the Hood. Now, today's episode is called Suicide by Train. Now, I just want to give a warning to all you viewers out there. I'm going to be covering some sensitive topics. It may get a little graphic, so if anybody out there is underage, I mean, you know, you may just want to go ahead and just turn the video off now. Or anybody that's real sensitive, you may want to go ahead and just turn it off. But, you know, I'm going to just basically break down the story, exactly how it happened, just give you my perspective and point of view. But this is a real serious topic. All right. Now, today's episode, Suicide by Train, took place, I would say, around the year 2010, 2011. I think it was more so 2011. Now, one thing that also helped me remember this, I mean, besides the fact that the experience was what it was the fact that I was actually in school at the time for audio engineering. And what's funny is the day that this situation happened, I was actually coming back off probation from school. Now, basically, they put me on probation because I was always late. I mean, my grades was good. You know, I had like a 4.0 GPA. That wasn't a problem. I had like all A's until it came to the end. In some class, I got like a lower grade. But we're not getting to that. It ain't about that. But the point is, I was on probation because I was late. I was always running on CP time. So it was my first day coming back, and they told me, they was like, you cannot be late. So I was like, all right. So back then, you know, I lived in the Corona area and the PJs. Taking the train, I'm on the and I take the train from Junction. I think I was around. It was actually, I think it was 42nd Street. It was 42nd Street when this happened. So I'm waiting at 42nd Street, waiting for a connecting train. I don't remember what train that was. But as I'm standing there on the platform, and it's funny, I think that day I had on like a hoodie. I think it was like a black hoodie. Had my hood on, had my headphones on. I'm listening to my music, just vibing out, chilling, looking for the train. So I'm over here on the platform, like on the left side of the platform, looking for the train. You know, everybody do. We go like that. We look. I don't really get too far past that yellow line. I don't trust people trying to push you or do some crazy nonsense or whatever. I don't like to get too close. But I'm behind you. I'm just going like that. Like, all right, the train's not coming. So what I do is I see this lady coming towards me. Now, I ain't think much of it. I mean, you know, you're on the train platform. There's a lot of people there. She's coming and she stands like right next to me, right beside me. So I'm waiting. I'm like, yo, what's going on with this train? I'm taking my phone. I'm checking the time. I'm like, yo, I cannot be late right now. So I said, let me do this. They have another, I think the train I might have been waiting on, I don't remember if it was an express, but they also have like, usually have like an express, a local or something like that. Sometimes they run on the same track. Sometimes you have trains that run on opposite, you know, on another track. So I went to the other track. I went to the right of me, to the middle, to just basically peek to see if I could see a train coming that way. Because I was like, yo, right now, I don't care, express, local. If this train right here is coming as local on the other track, I'm going to take that. So as soon as I get over there and I check and I see no trains coming, I turn back around to walk to the other side where I just came from, and I just hear, as soon as I pretty much almost get there, I hear, ah! I hear a lot of people just say that. And I'm like, what? Like, it's not really dawning on me because I'm still vibing out to my music and I'm not really fully focused on the scene. And then it's like, I see everybody just looking around panic. So at that point in time, I'm pretty much taking my headphones off my ears. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And it looked like everybody that was on that side where I just came from, that I just got back to, was covered in red paint. Like they had just red dripping off, and it's crazy because I'm thinking to myself like, and it's funny. Oh, another thing is when I turned back around, I also came back because the train had just came in the station. That's what it was. I was there vibing out to my music, but you could hear the train. You know, you hear them loud horns if you're from New York or whatever. You're from an area train. You know what it is. You hear that noise. So like I said, when I turned back around to come back, that's when I heard, oh, and people just screaming. They had like it looked like red paint thrown on them, and the train had abruptly stopped. So as I come back and I'm looking at him, like I said, I'm seeing all this looking like red paint. I'm like, I said, yeah, I'm thinking like it's a prank or something like that. Cause like I know back in the days, like Peter, they used to take like paint and throw it on people that had like mink coats on and stuff like that. Like, don't wear animal furs. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of counterintuitive because of the fact that if they had a fur coat and it's already done, I'm sorry, I don't believe in hurting and killing animals either, especially just to make you know what I'm saying, to make a luxury item. But at the same time, I'm like, you're ruining the coat. Now the animal pretty much really died for nothing. They got to throw it out, whatever. But anyway, it's looking like that. That's what I'm thinking, that somebody threw some red paint. I was like, oh, somebody pulled a gag or something. So then, like I said, the train had abruptly stopped. People were screaming, and then I hear like a lot of yelling, screaming, and crying or whatever. And I'm like, what's going on? So I walk up to the edge of the tracks, to the edge of the platform, right where I had been standing previously. And I look over, and when I see the train stop, I see the lady had just walked up next to me before I had crossed over to check to see where the other train coming. She was basically pinned under the train, and she had half of her body severed off. So it's like, I was like, oh, she basically had jumped in front of the train. And it's funny because when I seen her, it's like I had only been on the other side like a few seconds. When I seen that she was walking towards me, I'm thinking she was actually, because it's crazy. It's like when things happen, it's like time changes. Things move in slow motion. If you ever been in a serious situation or a life-threatening situation, or just a scary situation, or any type of just situation that you're used to, time moves differently. So like I said, it's like I had just went over, I seen her walking towards me. When she was actually walking towards me, she was walking over, I guess, to see when the train was coming. And as soon as I got to the other side of the train that came, she had jumped right in. She had jumped right in front of the train. So like I said, I turned around and came back. They were screaming. I'm looking. So then I see her body is severed in half. You see the top portion of her body, and I seen like her bottom part was gone. I guess it was pinned underneath the train, or it had got cut off, because also from underneath her body, she was like going from the waist down. It looked like her entrails, or like her, I guess, the spinal cords, intestines, whatever. Intestines, I guess, because that would probably be hanging out. That was like hanging out, and I noticed like her eyes was like this, and it was rolling in the back of her head because her life was leaving her body. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. Now the thing about it is I'm no stranger to death. It wasn't my first time seeing somebody pass, and anybody who's ever watched anybody, you know, pass away, you'll notice that their eyes, it's like you see like a spark. Like, but what it is you'll see life in their eyes, and then all of a sudden it's like, it'd be like a stare, and it'd be like that, and it'll go blank, and it's almost like you can see the light, or the light force leaving their body. It's crazy. So it's like her eyes were rolling in the back of the head, and after that, all the shaking and all that stopped, the movement stopped, and it was just like, you know, it's like she was done, or at peace. I guess, you know, her soul left her body, you know, and it was crazy. And what's crazy about it is like I said, they were like people screaming, crying. I seen grown men on the ground, like in the fetal position. They was actually on the, and you know how dirty a New York City subway station is. So they was actually on the ground, just like that, balled up, and I seen grown men shaking and crying and everything. And the thing about it is what's interesting is the fact that, you know, even though it was traumatic, it was crazy, for a lot of people it's probably life changing. Some of those people will probably never be the same. Anybody that was there, I hope they got the mental help they need. But what kind of shocked me too was the fact that I wasn't really affected. Like, it didn't traumatize me. It didn't negatively affect me. I was like, it's messed up. I was, you know, that's whatever she was going through, that she jumped, but I wasn't affected like a lot of other people. But, you know, different people can go through the same experience, and everybody experiences it and process it in different ways. But I remember thinking about that. I remember thinking later on too, like, was there something wrong with me? I was like, it's not like it bothered me. It never haunted me. I didn't have nightmares about it. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't traumatized. But I guess, you know what? I'm thinking too, because I dealt with so much in my life, so much stress, so many hard situations, everything I've been through, I guess with that, almost like desensitized me as far as it not affecting me, more negatively impacting me, because I gotta admit, you know, we all don't want to admit it, especially people that look like me in our community, but a lot of us need help. We go through PTSD, we got mental health issues. I'm not gonna lie, all the trauma I went through as a child. I remember somebody asked me one time, I just was telling them just a few stories, we got to talking about our lives, and they was like, and you alright? It was like, you ain't messed up behind that? And I was like, nah, I'm good. But at the time, to be honest with you, I was kind of not. I thought I was good. But, you know, that PTSD is real. And sometimes we don't know how, you know, much our childhood trauma affects us going into adulthood. So eventually I did seek therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's necessary. We all could use it. You know, we all could use therapy, especially the world we're going in now. It seems like it's something crazy like every other day. But another thing I thought about was the fact that, you know, while she committed suicide, and by the way, that lady that did that, I guess she was going through something real traumatic, especially to jump in front of a train. Of all ways to go, that's got to be rough, and you know it's going to be painful, but some people are that gone that in that situation, they just figure they want to end their lives. I don't know what she was going through. Too bad she couldn't got the help before she did it, but one thing, you know, I pray to the Most High for her soul. I pray you have mercy on her soul, you know. Yeah, it's just, I pray for her family as well, because that was just, that's crazy. It's total takes. I don't know if she had kids, whoever, but it was that crazy. But like I said, look, if anybody out there is going through mental health, matter of fact, underneath this video, I'm going to drop a phone number for the suicide prevention hotline, because everybody can use that. But one thing, I've said this in a prior video, I'm not going to assume anybody's seen it, but this book, try to put it up here so you can see it, F the Frail, you know, by Adjua Styles, the wife actually of famous rapper The Lock Styles P. She wrote that book. That book actually helped a lot. I had already sought therapy before I got this book, but when I had actually read that book, it's like I could relate to a lot of trauma she went through. Not exactly, but I could relate to the fact of just the trauma. Like, we all had our own experiences through my own trauma. From the time I was like 4.5, 5 years old, you know, going through it, all up into my adult life. So it's real. But another thing I realized was the fact that another thing I could relate with the lady that jumped in front of that train. I know what it's like to have those thoughts, because I'm going to be honest with you. At one time, when I was a teenager, 15, 16, I was thinking like, you know, we was in the PJs, we was down in Virginia, things was crazy, whatever. You know, we didn't have much to eat. You know, mom struggling to put food on the table. I remember just like, it was a culmination of things. I had met my dad for the first time at 16. That didn't really work out. I only seen him so far since then, like 3 times my whole life. And, you know, it was just a bunch of craziness going on. I remember thinking like, yo, what's the point of even being here? Like, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like from the time I was young, I was struggling. I'm not going to lie, my life wasn't all horrible. I had a lot of great times. And I have to thank, first of all, the Most High, of course. And I have to thank my mom, my grandma, my granddad, you know, my Aunt Rosie. May the 3 of them rest in peace, because they're gone now. They're beautiful souls. And, you know, everybody else who loved and cared about me, because without certain people there, so I wouldn't be here today. And actually, to be honest with you, my grandma and grandpa was like my twin towers. My Aunt Rosie was like my building 7, and the one they never really talk about. They went down with the World Trade, but when I lost them, it was a heavy blow. Without the grace of God and my mom here, you know what I'm saying, I definitely, I wouldn't have made it. And at that point in time, by the time my grandfather died, by the time my grandmother died, because she died first and he died. But the point is, when they died, I had my first son anyway. So a lot of times when you have a child, you have something to live for, or it serves as inspiration. I remember my mom used to always say, you know, I was the best thing that ever happened to her. You know, I helped save her life and this and that. And, you know, you don't realize the impact of those words until you have children. Because I know between, you know, my 2 children I have now and the grace of God, you know, I got to be thankful. And mom, can never forget moms, man, because moms are important, especially moms that care. But getting back to the story, you know, and another thing is I thought about growing up, I had like this sort of fearlessness. Like, I remember people used to dare me on the block, do certain things. I used to ride in the middle of the yellow lines on the avenue, and I used to just be on my bike going as fast as I can. I hit the brakes and I do the front handlebars, where I would start doing some type of donuts. Basically, I was doing donuts on bikes before cars, in the middle of the street, not caring if a car came. Everybody's like, yo, I remember this older head in the neighborhood, little rough cat, he'd be like, yo, shorty, yo, do that again. So that's wild, yo, look at shorty here. And people would always dare me to do stuff, and like, I never really cared. Somebody dare me, I'm like, I'll do anything, whatever. And it was like, yo, this dude is fearless. And the thing about it is, that element of fearless, believe it or not, came from a mentality of, I just don't care if I really, you know what I'm saying, live or die. Especially if you had seen my previous story, and I talked about when I went through the racism when I was around 4.5, 5 years old in Seattle, Washington, I used to pray some nights to the Most High, like, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. Because I felt like I basically was waking up in hell. I mean, it was a situation with my stepfather and, you know, him not really caring about me. But my mother, you know, he played off, and then she would leave and go away with the military, be gone for a week or two. He'd treat me like dirt, lock me in the room. I'm not going to get into that because, like, the story is not about me. But, and go check the previous video if you want to see that. You know, hear about my, I think that might be actually my first story, the beginning, the setup or something like that. But anyway, getting back on focus and on point, you know, I used to pray that I wouldn't wake up in the hell I woke up in, and the racism I was going in the area and everything. It seemed like life was crazy. So from that actually came two things. Not only the fearlessness to where I was like, well, I was like, you know, it's not that I was totally fearless, because back then, you know, people would be threatening, especially, you know, the racists. They would holler at me, I'm going to kill you, this, that, and this. So there was a sense of certain danger and fear, but then it became of, you know what, I don't really care if I live or die, so whatever I do don't really matter. And also what grew out of that was, if I do make it, as long as I'm here, I'm going to learn I'm going to get big enough and strong enough so I can protect myself, so these people who are threatening me, they won't be able to do nothing to me. Because, you know, I was like, they was a lot bigger than me, older than me, but, you know, come to find out as I got older, size don't matter, because, you know, if you like that and you got skills, you can take on anybody. But, you know, and especially that time, too, when I was in Seattle, Washington, I got jumped by a bunch of guys and got stomped unconscious. After that happened, I said I never wanted that to happen to me again. But, like I said, getting back on focus, on point with the story without going off on a tangent, I realized that what basically gave my fearlessness. But I remember, like I said, thinking to myself, like, why does this situation not bother me? There were people shaking so bad, I know they needed therapy. And after that happened, like a few minutes later, we on the platform, the cops started coming in. And what's crazy is when the cops was came in and they started questioning people in the scene, and they started saying, you sure? You sure somebody ain't push you? And I was thinking to myself, like, first of all, it was God for two reasons. I was like, you never know. Everybody viewing the situation can see it differently. The lady that was coming that jumped in the trash, actually she was right next to me on the side of me when I walked to the other side to check to see if the train was there. I walked into the middle platform part. But, like, they kept saying, you sure she wasn't pushed? And it was funny. It was a lady cop who she was looking at me side-eyed, and she was looking at the witnesses right there around. She was like, you sure no one pushed him? And she's looking at me, and I'm like, at that point I got the hoodie off. I'm like, why? And she was a sister. I said, why sister? Because I'm a black man with a black hoodie on or whatever. I was like, what makes you think? I said, we all, first of all, that's a stereotype. We all know how to know no good. You know, I'm like, come on, man. And I'm like, second of all, I'm like, I wouldn't push nobody. I know nobody out there knew who I was or nothing like that, so they don't know my temperament or who. Because, you know, you can't really, like, especially here in New York, you'll learn that you can't underestimate anybody. Anybody damn near, you see somebody who look regular or who look normal, they could be crazy. And people, because people do push people in the train, I understand that. But in my head, I'm thinking, like, I didn't push nobody. Come on, man. She kept looking. She was asking the person, are you sure? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, sister, you doing everything, but it's like, are you sure he didn't? Him right there in the black hoodie. I'm like, nah, it was crazy. But like I said, I didn't. It was whatever. I thought it was a little crazy. I didn't take it too personal. I was like, I understand. They got to do the investigation, find out what happened. I'm like, I know they got cameras somewhere here in the subway station, so they could just review that and see that I didn't push, you know, her or whatever. But it's crazy. It's like, by the grace of God, as soon as she came over to me, she was headed right to the tracks or whatever. Like I said, the train wasn't coming when I was there, so I guess it was like a few seconds I had walked off and she had jumped in. But, you know, like I said, I pray for her and her family. I pray for her soul. You know, may she rest in peace. And another thing, like I said, man, if anybody out there is feeling any type of issues, you feel like you're going to take yourself out, trust me, don't. It's not worth it. Because all of us were born for a purpose. We may not know why. You know, wherever we at in life, at what point in time, whether you're 20, 30, 40, you may have not figured out your purpose yet. But God had a purpose for you being born here, and that's a reason for you being here. And it's the same thing I had to realize. You know, I was like, you know, I always had a relationship with the Most High. I always talked to Him from the time I was a child. I always pray, you know, in the morning when you wake up, evening time to go to bed. Even throughout the day, I pray anytime. Anytime you're unsure of something, you need help with something, you know, I pray. So that relationship with the Most High is I know one of the, you know, a major factor in my life now and why I'm still here. But before I used to be fearless because I didn't care whether I lived or died. Then I became fearless with a purpose because I'm still fearless. Like, I fear no man. I fear no consequences. There's nothing in life that I fear. But I'm fearless now with a purpose because I'm fearless because I know that God put me here for a reason. I'm fearless to do his work and do it with best. And I know that I'm here to give a testament to people, just give my perspective and stories and things I've been through. Maybe somebody can learn from it, maybe somebody can grow from it, maybe somebody can heal from it, or begin at least to start the healing process and get help. Like I said, once again, I will highly recommend this book. And, you know, I also recommend, like she does in the book, go seek therapy. You know, especially if you need help. Even if you may not think you need it, trust me. A lot of times you'd be surprised what comes out, what skeletons you might have in the closet, or just or demons that may, you know, be on the low right now. They might not poke their head out, but a lot of times I can seek to address that. So, you know, but don't, whatever you go through, you know, it may seem crazy whatever you're going through now. But trust me, sometimes it gets greater later and it'll get better. So God made you for a purpose. Nobody's here on accident. You know, I don't have to, you know, I'm not going to get too much in the biology, but you know, with, you know, and when it comes to entering, you know, a woman's womb, how many, you know, different sperm cells there are. So you like one are like what, a couple 100 million, 500 million. So if you were here, you swam the fastest for a person, for purpose. And like I said, God had you born here. Ultimately, it's up to the Most High. You know, I believe in the creators and greater than me outside of myself. So, you know, and I believe that His power dwells within me as it does in everyone else. So that's why I always see everybody, I see the divinity in them. Even people who may seem like they're the ugliest people on the planet. I'm not talking about ugly physically, but I'm talking about personality-wise, attitude-wise. They still have that spirit of God that animates them within them. So I always look to see that divinity in them, even if they don't see it in themselves. But like I said, man, if you're going through something, go seek the help you need. You know, take my story, everything I've been through, believe you me, there was times I wanted to just 86 myself. I was reckless. I was in crazy situations, and it's not like I always threw myself in crazy situations. It seemed like I ended up there, but then I realized too the law of attraction. I was attracting that because I had crazy erratic thoughts. You have, you know, whatever you seek is going to find you, or seeking you shall find. So whatever you vibrate with and whatever you put out there in the universe is the situations and the people you're going to attract in your life. But, you know, like I said, thanks to the Most High, I'm still here. And I know that all this was lessons. I see everything as lessons and blessings. So to me, everything negative I went through, it was just a lesson, man. And eventually, once I was learning a lesson and able to overcome that, it became a blessing. So that's everybody in my life, too. Everybody who even stabbed me in the back, I'm even thankful to the Most High for them because they taught me a lesson. It taught me something about myself. It taught me not to deal with them and cut them off. And if they're family, hey, I could cut them off and love them from a distance. But at the same time, it still was a lesson to be learned. So I'm hoping everybody out there have a beautiful day. Like I said, get the mental health checkups, man. You know, and also look out for a family member. You see a family member going through it, sometimes you'd be surprised what a smile, a hug could do, or, you know, I see you out there, or I'm proud of you, or whatever little positive encouragement. Or let's say sometimes, you know, you can say it in a nice way. Maybe you might want to, you know, check out this book, just recommend it to her. I read a good book, it helped me. You know, maybe you want to check it out. Maybe you can say like that to them or something like that. Even say, you know, sometimes we all need somebody to talk to. Be like, you know, I'm here for you whenever you may need me. Or maybe if you want to go seek some professional help, it seems like you're going through something. I'm not trying to dish you or nothing, but I'm just letting you know, you might want to come off like that. Try to do it in a way that's best for you when you're not insulting somebody. But from time to time, we all could use a helping hand. So, once again, this story was Suicide by Train, you know, and like I said, I pray for her soul. And you know, just to end the story off, like, it was crazy. After they got done questioning, I pretty much just left anyway. I went out to training, and when I went up the stairs, I seen people actually collapse on the stairs, still traumatized. When I got outside the building, I seen people on the ground outside, right outside the train station. I had to leave. I had to go try to walk and find me a bus or something so I can further get to my destination. But like I said, people were really, really traumatized behind it. But you know, I understand, man. Like I said, everybody deals with traumatic situations and things in different ways. So, you know, it's crazy. But I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to drag on the video. I know y'all probably tired of not hearing my voice. Like, he got to the story. You got to the point. Get up out of here. We ain't trying to hear it that long. People's attention span these days is short anyway. It's the microwave generation. Just the whole world is going crazy. If they're not on their phones and can't see whatever they're trying to get to the point to in 30 seconds or less, most people clicking off anyway. But anyway, it's your boy LB. I mean, hopefully you learned something from the story. I wasn't trying to be like comical in the story. You know, normally I try to put my sense of humor and spin on it. You know, I just was trying to, you know, it's a more serious tone, even though I tried to lighten it up at times, but it's a very serious issue. And it's nothing I take lightly. There was nothing funny about that. It was in all seriousness, you know. Like I said, I pray for her. I pray for her family. And, you know, I pray for everyone out there. Actually, every night, too, and every morning, I actually pray for everybody in the world. I pray that everybody, you know, live their best life and just, You know, I pray that people are a little bit nicer, man, because for real, the world needs more kindness and love, and people need to treat each other with more respect. Because you'd be surprised, a lot of times people going through it, and that's why they're acting out. But a lot of times they're acting out, and they're doing this around other people who are going through it. So when you do it, you're further traumatizing them. But hurt people, so I know what it is. So if you're hurting, get some help. You may not know if you're toxic. If people, seem to not want to be around you, or, you'd be like, the people always talking about me. Are they seem like when I come in the room to get quiet? Maybe they are talking about you. Maybe it's not because of envy and jealousy. Maybe they're the problem, or that person. So, seek help. Like I said, I did. Trust me, it's a beautiful thing to get therapy. There's, I know it's stereotyped in our community. Forget all that, man. Trust me, because a lot of our people are going to PTSD, and a lot of nonsense wouldn't happen in our community if our people sought out and got the proper help they need. Like I said, PTSD is real. We call it gangster, we call it street. Really, it's a bunch of hurt people hurting more people. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, not gonna drag it up. I'm done for now, for real. It's your boy LB, and you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna sign off. Just chill to the next episode. Thank you out there. Peace and love to all your family. To the next one. I'm out.